Hi, my name is Dr. Jeff Harris. I'm a psychologist in New Mexico in the United States. This is my colleague, Karunaka Rao in Bangalore, India. We're going to do a demonstration of cognitive change strategies for key strategies training. So let me pull up the introduction screen. Okay, so this is Key Strategies Training Lesson 3, Changing Thoughts Using Cognitive Strategies, and this is the video demonstration. So on the last video, I introduced 4 cognitive strategies that are designed to help people change their thoughts and be more functional or adaptive. And so last time I introduced 4 different strategies: cognitive strategy 5, experimenting with thoughts; cognitive strategy 6, modifying beliefs; cognitive strategy 7, reinforcing functional thoughts; and cognitive strategy 8, assessing cognitive change and impact. So today I'm going to be doing a demonstration, and my Karunakar is going to be portraying a client named Raju. In my first session with Raju, or in the last session where we're looking at exploring thoughts, Raju talked about his social anxiety, and we identified some thoughts like people are looking at my faults and people are scrutinizing my behavior. So today I'm going to be following up on that, and I'm going to be using some, but probably not all of these strategies. So when you watch this demonstration, I want you to see which of these strategies you observe me using: experimenting with thoughts, modifying beliefs, reinforcing functional thoughts, or assessing cognitive change and impact. And I'll try and come back to this screen after the demo so that you can, so we can think about that again. So, Raju, when we were talking last time, we identified several of the thoughts that you have that contribute to your anxiety. And you talked about that you're more comfortable alone, and that when you're interacting with other people, you think that people are focusing on you, that you think that people are looking at my faults, and people are scrutinizing your behavior, and they're scrutinizing different things. They're scrutinizing your speech and noticing that when you get nervous, you falter. They may be noticing your physique and that you're thin and lean. But I want to focus in on that thought that people are looking at my faults and people are scrutinizing my behavior, because I think that that's the theme that seems to be contributing to your anxiety. Can we take a look at those thoughts more closely today?
Yeah, Jeff.
Okay. So one of the things we do, we know that some of our thoughts are accurate and some are not. And so one of the things I'd like to do today is to look at the evidence for whether people are scrutinizing your behavior and looking at your faults. So we're going to do this, in an even-handed way. We're going to look at first we're going to say, what is the evidence that people are scrutinizing your behaviors and looking at your faults? And then in a minute, we'll look at the alternative of is there any evidence that they may not be scrutinizing you? So what is the evidence for the idea that people are scrutinizing your faults, scrutinizing your behavior, and looking at your faults?
I particularly don't know about any evidence. Maybe or may not be. But I feel they are scrutinizing and focusing on my faults.
Okay. So it's interesting that you can't think of evidence, but it seems more like a perception or a feeling. It feels like that's going on. Okay.
Yeah.
And so is there any evidence that people are not scrutinizing your behavior or not looking for faults?
Yeah, they sometimes I feel that they are focusing on my faults, finding faults in me, but later they did not mention anything about that. I did not I did not hear any comments from them about my faults.
Okay.
So
That's an interesting observation. Even though you think they might be or you feel they might be, it doesn't come up in conversation. So if they are noticing your faults, they're not, bringing it back to you. Okay. Is there any other evidence against your idea or your feeling that people are scrutinizing your behavior or looking at your faults?
sometimes I see them smiling and laughing. I think that they are taking notice of my faults, and that's why they are laughing and smiling
Okay,
at
so
each
that's
other.
evidence that they might be So that's evidence that they might be scrutinizing you, is that sometimes they're smiling and laughing.
Yeah.
And so when they're smiling and laughing, it's tricky to figure out what someone's smiling about, whether they, and smiling is tricky because smiling means different things. Smiling can mean laughing at you, or smiling can be a sign of affection. So when people are smiling and laughing, is there evidence that they're scrutinizing your faults, or is there evidence that they might be smiling with affection or something like that?
Uh, it can be uh, to be courteous or something like that, but I suspect, I doubt, it could be because they are noticing my faults
Okay.
when I falter speaking.
Okay. So on the one hand, when people are smiling and laughing in conversation, they might be being courteous or friendly or affectionate, but there's also the possibility that they might be laughing at you because of your faults.
Yes.
Okay. So it's interesting here that on the laughing and smiling part, it could go either way, that it could be just courteous affection, friendly behavior, or it could be laughing at you. um it's interesting that when you think about it, is there evidence that they're looking at my faults or scrutinizing me? There's not evidence, but it feels like a perception, a feeling. um and and then one of the pieces of evidence against that is that they don't mention my faults. So that doesn't seem to be a focus of the conversation. So, since we don't have any clear evidence that they are, because the smiling could mean different things, the smiling and laughing could mean different things, and we have some evidence against that, what's an alternative explanation? Can you think of an alternative explanation or an alternative thought other than people are scrutinizing my behavior and people are looking at my faults? What's another way to explain the social interactions that you have?
Mm. The other explanation may be that they are paying attention to me. Uh, they are paying attention to me while they are interacting with me, and they are they may be encouraging me. They are courteous and friendly. Uh, it may not be that they are solely focusing on my faults.
Okay. So what's it like to say that in conversations, most people are paying attention to me and are courteous and friendly?
Yeah. Yes, yes.
So if so we talked about how the belief, the perception that people are looking at my faults and scrutinizing my behavior increases your anxiety and it makes you more nervous.
Yes, yes, of course.
And we know that when you get more nervous, you said that you talk faster and you falter, and your brain gets going faster than your mouth can. So what would it be if you tried to believe, if you embraced the idea that people are paying attention to me, and when they pay attention to me and when they smile and laugh, they're being courteous and friendly? Would that increase your anxiety or decrease your anxiety?
I think it will decrease and make me feel less uncomfortable.
Okay. So what I want to do is to think of this idea, and we're going to put this into practice. We're going to experiment with this. Um, so I want you to say that out loud. When people, let me write it down, and then I'm going to read it back. When people pay attention to me and smile in conversation, they are being courteous and friendly. So say that one out loud and see how it feels to say that one. When people pay attention to me and smile in conversation, they are being courteous and friendly. Can you say that out loud?
Yeah, yeah. When people are paying attention to me, that is to and smile, that is to make me, that is to be courteous to me and friendly to me.
Right. Okay. So say that one. I'm going to say it one more time, and then I'm going to have you say it one more time, and I'm going to see if you can let that in and see if it impacts you differently. So when people pay attention to me and smile in conversation, they are being courteous and friendly.
When people are paying attention to me and smile, that is that they are friendly and courteous to me.
Okay. Like to say that out loud. Does that feel different than when you say people are looking at my faults and scrutinizing my behavior?
Uh, when I am saying repeated this thing, I think it gives me bit more confidence.
Yeah. Okay.
Uh,
I think so. I think it's important to realize that it's interesting, even this behavior of smiling, that that someone can smile with you in a judgmental way, like he's funny looking, or they can smile with you in a friendly or courteous way. So what I want you to do is to embrace this new way of thinking, that when people pay attention to me and smile in conversation, they are being courteous and friendly. And I want you to experiment with that this week. Anytime that you have a conversation, even before the conversation, I want you to remind yourself that when people smile at me, they are being friendly and courteous. And you can find different ways of thinking that. Most people are friendly and courteous, you know, and you might find a few people who are judgmental and and maybe that will be a part of the process of saying, oh, these, I talked to 4 people this week, 3 of them were friendly and courteous, and one of them might have been a little bit judgmental. So we're not going to say, we can't assume that everyone is friendly and courteous, but we're going to experiment with that idea that most people are friendly and courteous. So if you were going to kind of experiment with this idea that most people are friendly and courteous, and when they smile, that's a way to make a connection with me rather than smiling derisively or laughing at me. How would you experiment with that in real life? What would you do to put that new way of thinking into practice?
yeah, before initiating or before meeting people, I can talk to myself and say this, whatever you said, when I'm in conversation with others, when they are paying attention, when they smile, it must be that they are friendly and courteous too.
Okay. So So I think it's good to remind yourself that that most people are friendly and courteous, and smiling is often a sign of affection. And so I think that, and I think that it's good, like you said, to remind yourself of that before a conversation. And it may be good to remind yourself of that after a conversation. Um, and so I think I'm going to ask you to try and put that into practice this during the coming week, where you are trying to engage with people. You're going to try and acknowledge that some of your feelings or your fears that people are scrutinizing you or letting you, that's a perception, and that's a way of thinking that you've had, but we don't have a lot of evidence for that because people don't bring it up, your faults, in conversation. So we're going to experiment with a new way of thinking. Your prediction is that if you remind yourself that people pay attention to me and smile in conversations, they're being courteous and friendly, you're predicting that you'll feel more confident. And so,
And I predict that I may be less conscious in
yep,
talking.
less self-conscious about that. And maybe it'll be interesting to see, if you're less self-conscious, if you're less self-critical, whether you speak more fluidly. You've talked about how the anxiety makes you speak too fast and you falter or stammer. So it'll be an interesting experiment that if you remind yourself that most people are friendly and courteous, and that's why they're smiling at you, how that's going to impact your behavior, and you may slow your speech down and you may falter less. So that we're going to observe the results. We're going to put this way of thinking into practice, and then we're going to observe the results, both with you. Am I,
Yeah.
am I more confident? Or I was pretty confident on Tuesday, but on Wednesday I got nervous again. So this isn't going to be perfect, because this is a new way of thinking that we're experimenting with, and you're going to have successes and less successful experiences, and we'll watch those, and then we'll modify both this way of thinking, and then we'll also be looking at some of the emotions and actions associated with that. So
Yeah.
good luck this week in practicing this new way of thinking.
Yeah, I will try that.
Okay, so let me pull up. The demonstration is over. Let me pull up the slide. So I want you to think about what you just observed in this demonstration with Raju. Did you see me encouraging Raju to experiment with thoughts? Did you see me helping Raju modify his beliefs? Did you see me reinforcing functional thoughts? Did you see me assessing cognitive change and impact? So I want you to think about that as, what you saw me doing. And from my judgment, I did a little bit of the first three. I did some experimenting with thoughts, some modifying beliefs, and reinforcing functional thoughts. I didn't do assessing cognitive change and impact, but I think I did a little bit of cognitive strategies 5, 6, and 7. But you may want to think about, what exactly did you see me doing that fit strategy 5, 6, and 7. So that's the end of this video. Now that we have, you've learned about cognitive exploration and change, the next part of key strategies is going to be looking at emotional exploration and emotional transformation. So I hope you have a chance to watch those videos as well.